Hi, we are back for another conversation from another point of view, and this is Alice.
And Agnes.
And we are here today to discuss
retail therapy as an unhealthy coping mechanism.
How did we come to this subject?
Well, yes, I think you can answer that question. How did we come to this subject?
For the last, I want to say, week or so, I've been feeling like really uninspired, like really meh about everything that I have in my wardrobe. Just looking at all the stuff that I used to love, and I'm like, I'm just so bored of it. Yesterday, I was very close to buying new things, but I didn't do it.
I think when you sent me a voice note about this, because we discussed this topic yesterday, so it's something that like came up. And I think it's going to come up for a lot of people because we're changing the seasons. We're shifting from winter into spring. So we're almost like coming out of this hibernation mode. So I think we're in this mode right now when on one hand you have all of those winter clothes that kind of slowly you're gonna have to put away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you probably haven't even looked into your like spring summer clothes. Because I feel like a lot of people like store clothes for the seasons.
Exactly.
So I think that's part of the reason when you're like where do I even begin? You know, it's kind of still like dull and grey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can really plays on my mental health.
Yes, I've noticed that 100%. When it's like sunny, I feel like all of this week has been quite sunny and nice. I've been to the park, like I felt better.
Yeah.
And then yesterday I woke up and it was just like I opened the curtain and it's grey.
Yeah.
And
Can I go back to bed?
Yeah.
Let's just close the door, pretend that never happened.
Yes. I feel like that also played to it, but I also just know that there's something on a deeper level why you might be feeling like that. It's not actually the clothes. Like, yeah, maybe for some people it's just the clothes.
Yeah.
I think mostly it would be something on a deeper level. You have to like maybe think, journal, sit with yourself, which I did yesterday, and I'm proud of myself that I didn't buy anything.
I'm really proud of you. Just the fact that you even like stopped yourself and like acknowledged the fact of like, what kind of purchase is it? Is it just like an instant gratification kind of purchase?
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the retail therapy has become such a normalized thing in our society. And this like consumerism culture that we engage in. And it's almost like, you know, for me in the past, it used to be something like pretty normal. It's just like, oh, let's just make myself feel better and go buy a little thing.
Yes.
And by doing that, I'm like pushing down the emotions that I really should be dealing with. And instead of that, I'm just kind of like, okay, you just go there and I'm gonna kind of, you know, just buy something to make myself feel better for 5 seconds. Unless you start sort of working on yourself and you're able to stop and be like, okay, ask yourself deeper questions. It's just a pattern, you know, like any other pattern.
And that was me for years and years.
Yeah.
And I found that like half of my wardrobe was just things that wasn't something that I wanted to wear in a long run. It was just maybe in that moment I really wanted like something red.
Yeah.
But actually like red is not my favorite color.
Yeah.
It's just like you have to be very cautious of those little things, because at the end of the day you just spend your money and you throw it away, or like you give it to charity, and like you could have saved up a little bit and bought that item that just makes you so excited.
I believe that high street, it becomes this like perfect kind of outlet for our retail therapy sessions because it's cheap. Like you go to Zara, things are there probably every day. There's new things that you can find.
Sale comes and goes all the time.
Sale comes and goes, and when the sale comes, there's things that you can buy for literally like cheaper than a cup of coffee. Like it's insane to think about it like that.
It's like, oh, £5, I must have this.
Exactly. If you add up all of those purchases, let's say even over a month sometimes, like if that is your pattern, the retail therapy, just really sit back with yourself, have a look at your credit card bill or your card bill or whatever, like pull all those things that you purchased in that month, have a look at them and be like, which one of those purchases were just instant gratification? And how much money have I spent on it? And if I did add all of that money together, could I purchase something that was better quality, something that I really, really wanted and I had my eye on, but it's a certain amount of money, and I put like this thing in my head thinking like, oh, I can never afford it, so I'm not even gonna like bother.
Exactly, yes.
Right?
Or also from another point of view, maybe that money can go towards like a new journal.
Yeah.
Or like
investing in yourself rather than
like online classes or like a therapy that you've been kind of like putting aside. Because we were having this chat before where it's so important to work on yourself, your inner world, to not have those like bad habits.
Yeah, and I think that's where you have to start. I think you have to really go inward. And I think it's difficult for a lot of people. Because like we are taught to kind of seek everything outwardly. Being like, oh, I'm going to get this and I'm going to feel better. I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel better. But it's just like actually sitting with yourself, like people really struggle with. Because it's not something we've ever been taught.
Yes.
This is the other thing.
And also imagine how easy it is to go into store and buy something. But when you have to actually start facing like your inner, you know, like problems and things, that's like so daunting and just like, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, and the more you're putting it away, the bigger the problem gets.
Yeah. The more you want to buy.
And the more you want to buy, exactly. Yeah. But it's so true. And I think like, you know, like there's this story when I was told when I was a kid, and it's like, if you think there is a monster there and I look at this monster as like, you know, things I don't want to deal with.
Yes.
And until I face it, that monster is huge. But once I actually sit down and face it, that monster just like slowly melts away and disappears.
Exactly.
But it takes work and dedication to do that. I think this is the other thing, you know? Like we really want quick results. Like everything comes quick. The lights, this, that, you know, like quick delivery. It's like everything is just so easy.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now, that when we have to actually put in a work and be patient and be really compassionate with ourselves over time and be like, you know, I'm making tiny steps, but I'm making steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yes.
And that really reflects on things like your shopping habits. So, like the fact that you just stood there yesterday and you were like, okay, like, asking myself a very important question, which I think we should get into the habit of asking that question before we purchase anything.
Exactly. Well, I can be a little bit of an example of like my process of thinking and like sitting down and thinking about how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. And I'm going to be very vulnerable right now and like actually expose myself. I feel like lately I've been feeling really stressed. So I haven't been really taking care of myself as much as I would love to, like meaning diet, exercise, all of that stuff. Which improves our mental health and just well-being. On top of that, like work stress and, you know, I just feel quite like unhappy with myself and my habits.
Right.
And then I started like looking at social media and comparing myself, or like, you know, this person is so busy, but yet they find all this time to like do XYZ, like why can't I do that? They booking these campaigns, like why can't I do that? And like all of this like comparison came in. I was looking on TikTok and I'm really inspired by people who go charity shopping and just like finding really cool pieces. But I'm very rarely finding cool pieces because of the size that I am. Even yesterday, like just for like a little investigation for this podcast, I went on Vinted. I put the sizing to what I am. And nothing came up that I loved. Like nothing. I was scrolling. Everything was just like grandma looking, no offense. And then I put in like size 6 to 8. And there were like so many pieces that I was like, oh, I would love this. Like cool price, everything. Like, so I started thinking and comparing myself to, you know, people who are cool and like they're usually like smaller size. So should I like lose weight? And it became
so it
like
becomes like a vicious circle kind of.
Yes,
right?
and it's really unhealthy and just like really not helpful because I worked so hard to accept myself the way I am. And there is a reason why I'm bigger size, like which I'm not going to discuss today, but it's not so easy like people think, you know, just stop eating and you'll be skinny. Like we're all so different, we all have our reasons. So I've worked really hard to just accept myself how I am today. Maybe in like a year's time, if I change size, cool. But I don't want that to be like, I'm aiming for that all the time. Like just running after this like ideal body or something. What is even an ideal body?
I don't think there is such a thing as well.
And then at the same time, like there's so many cool like plus size women who dress like 10 out of 10. I feel like is so cool. But yeah, like I just kind of fell into that and that's why like I was looking at my wardrobe and I was like, nothing inspires me. Like I would want this or I want that. And, yeah.
But do you think that sort of being like looking at your wardrobe from that perspective is a part of the reason the fact that obviously because of your TikTok and your social media kind of what you do, that has it's really fashion focused?
Yes.
Is that also play a part?
100%.
Right.
So that's another thing. Like when I started my TikTok, I was like, I want to have fun with it. I don't want it to be like, I must do this all the time.
Yeah.
I have these goals. Like I'm like, it's gonna go how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be cool with it. And it's going well. Like I'm enjoying myself and I feel like I have a little community. Second was I never wanted to make people want to buy things.
Yeah.
It was more like just an inspiration.
Yeah.
Also just showing how you can style different things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm doing that well as well. But of course I sometimes fall into like, I need new stuff to like grab attention from new people.
Right.
This new collection now, like maybe that will be trending. Like I notice it straight away. I'm like, no, this is like falling back into the pattern that I didn't want.
But is it also that's like striving of, oh, this was my last outfit and it did so well and now I want to like outdo that and do better, and like is that also or not really?
Not so much.
Right.
It's more just like I need new so people can buy something. I've had conversations with other influencers and they're very like focused on, you must have things that are new in so people can buy it straight away. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
But does it like really align with your values?
It doesn't, exactly. But it doesn't mean that I don't fall into that a little bit. I'm like, maybe I'm not like adding value to people because they can't buy it. But then again, I have to sit down with myself, be like, no, this is not what you came for. Like, this is not you. Just keep true to yourself. But yeah, you have those moments like I've had this week. It's just like a vicious cycle of me not feeling great about myself and then just like picking little bits and pieces around that I feel like I could improve on, or comparing yourself.
How was it like when you got yourself in this position? Because like we all go through those phases, right?
Yeah.
Like when that happened in the past, like what have you done that you don't think this time might not work? Like to get yourself out of this kind of cycle that you're in? Like is it certain things that you're like, okay, I know this is my stream of thought, like how do I get myself out of this?
Just being mindful of like what I've done before. So like for example, going and buying new things.
Yeah.
I've done it before, I'm not gonna lie. I buy new things, I make a TikTok, I'm like, oh, this is great. And then it's sitting in my wardrobe and I never like wear it. Well, not ever, but it's not one of those pieces that I grab and want to wear all the time.
Right.
I've bought it because, it was trending at the time, or like I felt like I needed to be like this other person, but it's actually not me. Yeah, this time around, I'm just really conscious of it. And I consciously, therefore, want to work on like, just picking myself up from like inside out,
so
rather
going
than
inwards more than...
Yes, let's start exercising more. Let's go for walks. Let's like not be on social media and try to compare myself to everyone.
Yeah.
Just start with those little things, which aren't even that little.
I think they're in the long run, they're really huge.
Yes.
They might be like tiny steps, because I find myself when I feel a certain way, like I know, like it's almost like my body is telling me like, can you slow down and like sit with yourself?
Yes.
And like really examine what is it that makes you feel a certain way.
Yes.
Because I think like we're very quick to be like, oh, is the weather, oh, is this, oh, is that. And obviously it's part of it. But I feel like it's always deeper than this. So unless you actually slow down, because we live in a world which is like full of distractions, like pick and choose whatever you want, and you can distract yourself 24 hours a day. And it's hard to be like, you know what, like what you said, like let's leave my phone in the house and let's go for a walk and just breathe and like totally disconnect from things that are putting me in this vicious cycle.
Even like yesterday, I felt like my body was here and my mind was like 100 miles like ahead of me. That was the point where I was like, okay, like I need to like meditate, I need to have a bath, like something to just like pull it back. And also I think it's such a luxury to have that time. So I think like a lot of people might be like listening in and thinking, well, but I have like a husband and 5 children and I have all these things to do, and I think it's trickier. Like I can take a day off because I'm self-employed, but I think it's creating habits that work for you.
It's true.
So you have to, like, I can't emphasize it enough. I know so many like busy people that just keep doing things and they're like, oh, I'm tired. And I keep telling them, please, like, put yourself first, because I didn't do that 2 years ago, and then I had such mental health problems.
I think there's this like cliche saying, and I think it's cliche for a reason because it's so true. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh yes.
So it's like, it makes me think of like when I think of that, I visualize this, you know, when you have these glasses like that are stacked and you pour the champagne, and the champagne has to overflow from the top glass to then fill all the other glasses. So like that's how I look at life, and I'm like, I have to fill my own cup.
That's so true.
To be able to like be there for other people, and be there even for myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we think like, oh, being selfish is wrong and whatever, but you know, you have to like look after yourself first. Filling your own cup, you're not doing it only for yourself, you're doing it for other people around you.
That's so beautiful. I agree.
But it's like, it's an honest truth. And you know, if you're tired and exhausted every day, like, you're not there in like wholeheartedly and really present for everyone around you. If it's your kids or your husband or your partner, you know, like, you're halfway there because your other half is just like of your brain, it's like running 100 miles an hour thinking about 10,000 things. You know. And I think the other thing is, one of the words that I really hate is busy. I don't know why I have such issue with this one.
I always ask people, are you like stressed busy or you like
that's busy? A good question. It's a good busy or bad busy? But I feel like we live in this culture and it's just like, oh, I'm so busy. And it's also, we look at it as such a positive thing. It's like, I'm so busy, you know?
Exactly.
But then you have no time for anything. And I'm like, you make time for what you want to make time for. You know? Like, you have to prioritize things in your day. You know? And if that means waking up half an hour earlier and sitting down with yourself and journaling or meditating and starting your day like that, like, I strongly believe how you start your day, that's how it's going to carry on. And then having that practice every single day, you build up on that. And even throughout the day, like, you allow yourself to just like, even sit with yourself for 5 seconds and take like 2 deep breaths, you know, and just like reground. Like, okay, like, what is it that, you know, like, why am I stressed? Why is this happening or that happening?
I'm also like in a process of trying to find like a good podcast to listen to. Just because like, I feel like I'm in this bubble right now where like, I know exactly what I'm doing, like I have my things set out every day, and I kind of like become a bit of a routine, and I feel like I need something like new, something like a new insight, an opinion, something that's just gonna like grab my attention and be like maybe shift it from a different angle. This morning I started listening to podcast, I think it's called Almost 30 or something.
The 2 girls.
Yes.
I really love their podcast.
And they were talking about having a break from Instagram. And I've never like fully done it. I know you've done it. I haven't done it fully because I have this like anxiety. Like I'm running.
What is the anxiety about? Because like, I love having the conversations with people. Like, I'm not on social media all that much. Like, I'm trying to have a healthy relationship with it. And more of a love than hate relationship. But it's really interesting to see it from your perspective, where it's kind of like, would you say it's part of your identity almost? It has created that.
I don't know, it's like, I guess social media has been in my life since I was like 18, 19. So it's a big chunk of my life where it's just like getting to know it. Like, what is this thing? And now it's like just so normal. So it's like coming home and turning on the TV. It's like such a normal thing. And I feel like for me as well, like, I just want to see what my friends are doing. Like, I don't normally compare myself too much to other people, maybe subconsciously, like that's another subject. But normally I just want to see like what my friends doing, like, you know, I have some family members as well, and they're like, that's the kind of thing. And then you start scrolling, you're just like, oh, like catching up. But then of course, like, you get sucked into it a little bit.
It's so easy. I feel like it's such a trap. Like, for me, I've noticed myself, like, there's something I like, and then from there I go into another page, and then another. It's like Pinterest. I mean, Pinterest sometimes I'm like,
that's true, but that's
half an hour later.
I think the anxiety is because I see it as like a little bit of like a business for me.
I love having the conversations with like people like you.
Yeah.
I just have never had like a time off from their phone. Like totally. Because I find like a lot of people, even that are not on social media, I had conversations with about like not having my phone once a week. Like I'm gonna make that a habit.
Yes.
And just totally switching off my phone and leaving it at home.
Yeah.
And I did that even when I had my own business. And I've just put like out of office for 24 hours and that was it.
Right.
You know?
I think for a day it's...
Yeah, and I think for a day, but the thing is like that day really, once you do it once and get over the fact that you're like, oh my god, the world is going to end, like I'm not part of it, you know? Like, we are important, but we're not that important. Like, we're the speck of dust on this planet.
That's
like,
true.
the world is going to go around even when we're not there. But it's also realizing how much having that space and that distance really allows you to focus on you.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, as much as I hate to, but I agree. But it feels a bit, I'm feeling it like a little like defensive. I'm like, no.
But I love that. And the thing is like, because if you're feeling the certain way about it, then you like have to like, because like I'm saying this and you're like, ooh, yeah, she's not right about that. Not, you know, like that's kind of like what your ego is.
Yeah.
But then you have to like that voice that is pointing at me and being like, no.
Yeah.
Turn it back onto yourself.
Yes.
And be like, oh, hold on a second. Why is this?
Mirror.
Yeah, mirror. Why is this making me feel this way?
Exactly. I'm going to explore that. I love this conversation to go like rounds and rounds. So we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
With just like some takeaways of like our conversation.
Yes.
So maybe because I gave so much from my side, what do you do when you get in a little bit of a rut? Like, you know, you're not inspired by your amazing wardrobe, by the way. I'm like, how do you? But like, it happens.
Yeah, it does.
So what do you do?
I feel like I acknowledge the fact that we all have moments, and I can't even say out loud like, oh my god, I have nothing to wear, because like my friends know my wardrobe and they're like, okay, out of all the people, shush, like you cannot say that, like you're just not allowed.
Exactly, that's how I feel, but fine, go on.
But I think the same as you, I think I just look really sort of sit down with myself and look deeper.
Yeah.
Because for me, fashion is a self-expression.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm not expressing myself in what I wear, like there is something else that lies deeper within. And if I'm just checking in with myself and sitting down, and really importantly for me, like taking time out. Being like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna get out of London and I'm gonna spend a day in nature, just me and a dog, or like me and a friend that I know that friend is not going to be on their phone, and we can just have a quality time together.
Yes.
That's for me really important, because it takes me out of this like, I'm feeling sorry for myself, into like opening different doors in my head and being like, oh, how about this and how about that? But also not to distract myself, to still be present. So doing things like yoga and meditation, as you know, obvious as they sound and seem, I feel like sometimes they, especially with yoga, like they really get me back into my body and my mind kind of connection. So
but it could, like at the end of the day, like it can be any kind of exercise you enjoy. Some people love running.
Yeah, but I think as long as you're doing something very consciously.
Yes.
Because I find like, this is totally another subject, but like I found myself in the past like doing exercises for the sake of doing it. I have to work out once a day, blah blah blah. Yeah. But now for me it's like, no, how do I like go back into myself?
Yes.
Like what is allowing me to connect that mind body together again and sort of be really present. So that really helps. So not running away from that feeling, and rather sitting with it.
Yes.
And exploring like what's behind it.
Having like a really nice conversation with someone.
Or having a really nice conversation, because I find like if you have friends that you could be like truly yourself with, and you can sit down and just, you know, without the judgment, they can listen to what you have to say. I feel like sometimes because those friends are looking from the outside perspective and sort of like a wider view on your situation or how you're feeling, sometimes they can just like, you know, help you change the lenses and look at things differently. Yeah,
I agree with that. Couldn't add any more. So yeah, I will work on myself this week. hopefully next week I feel a little more like, oh, you know.
Yes, I think
inspired.
I would love to hear an update to see like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna hold Alice accountable.
Check in on me next week.
And we're gonna check in next week and see also like what helped you and what distracted you. You know,
Yeah.
that's so interesting to kind of see. Because the week is 7 days and it's a lot of hours, so no excuses there.
That's true. And I feel like, again, I'm just so proud I didn't buy anything.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Like we said, like the first step in recovery is like just noticing things.
Yeah,
And
acknowledging your patterns for sure.
And I did that, so I'm like, yeah. And this conversation's been amazing as well. Just like getting it off my chest, like talking it through.
Yeah. And I think also realizing that like everyone goes through those moments and sort of learning like what works for other people. It might not work for you, but it might inspire you to explore other things.
Exactly. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Cheers.
Cheers.